Dumb Husky and his white cat Shizun. Extra chapters. Modern setting. Only possibility. Part 5, Mischief. This time the plan was successful. Xuemeng used the previously gathered information to prove that there was no such thing as an indestructible CP. There were only players who do not work hard to remove it. In this game called Mo Ran is not gay, a nickname he secretly dubbed in his heart, player Xuemeng fully displayed his ingenuity and successfully separated the path of the two boys. He and Xiaolong used the task guide to choose the heroine and made plan of action. One person and one paper dragon acted separately. The person kept an eye on Mo Ran at the north of the park and the dragon watched the little Chu Wanning at the south of the park, and finally ensured that at the end of the spring outing, Mo Ran got onto the school bus and left without even seeing Chu Wanning's sleeves. It was exciting. We did it. We managed to make Mo Ran establish a friendship with the girl. They'll be best friends in no time. When their puberty comes, they will secretly get together behind their parents. They would sneak to go on a date in their school uniforms after school. They would hide a box of sweet and greasy chocolates in each other's bags. When a sudden downpour came after the high school evening self-study, he would carry her on his back so as not to get her pink leather shoes wet. Xuemeng raised his head and laughed loudly. Pink leather shoes are a bit exaggerated. He paused and continued with bright eyes, but it's a good idea to carry your girlfriend home in a rainstorm. What's Mo Ran's height is high school again? The little candle dragon flipped through the guide and said, from 1.86 to 1.89. If he is lucky, it will be in this range. Tisk, that's really. Xuemeng showed a subtle expression as if he was somewhat envious while trying to stretch his body. This caused his facial expression to look pained as if he was suffering from a toothache. He pouted, not intending to continue this unpleasant topic any longer. He didn't want Xiaolong to notice his own height. In short, their road to their love affair will be very smooth. Xuemeng concluded, even somewhat paranoid, it must go smoothly. Otherwise, I wouldn't hear the last of it from Jiangxi. In order to ensure that Mo Ran and the girl's emotions were stable and undisturbed, Xuemeng and the others prepared to observe for a while. Of course, in this simulation game, the speed of time can be adjusted. They only needed to state the date in the task guide. We want to see Mo Ran and the girl's first date. Xiaolong said. Xuemeng also added, alone with no third party, although it can't be called a date at this age, but you are so smart and should be able to understand what we mean. Xuemeng seemed to have forgotten who had called the task guide an artificial mental retard before. Them just playing together, doing homework together or doing other things together like playing house or something. He thought about it and added, anything like that. In order to recover from its shame when it was called an artificial mental retard, the task guide accurately set the time to a week and 3 days after. It was night time. They were down by a residential area. There were warm light coming from the windows of many houses. A housewife could be seen by the kitchen busy cleaning pots and pans. Shouting of the children could be heard along with the vague voice of the male host of a news outcast giving an indication that it was around 7 o'clock in the evening. Xuemeng and Xiaolong waited for a while until Mo Ran appeared. As expected, he was carrying a small school bag and a lunchbox bag with a pirated design of the pirated cartoon Winnie the Bear. Winnie's nose was worn out, which made this originally unsightly pirated bear design look even more hideous and ridiculous. However, all the hideousness and ridiculousness were outshined by the smiling, chattering, and cheerful girl beside him. My house is on the 2nd floor. My father is on a business trip, but my mother is at home. Don't worry, she is very nice. The little girl's eyebrows were curved, her long eyelashes were dancing with orange lights. I told her about you yesterday. That you would come over and play. She told me that we will have her fried egg yolk and chicken wings for dinner tonight, as well as cheesecake from the pastry shop at the entrance. Do you like cheesecake? I haven't eaten this kind of thing. As Mo Ran mumbled, Xuemeng noticed that the glue of his old sneakers was coming off. The girl didn't laugh at him. She just froze for a moment and then smiled cheerfully as she said, "You will like it. If you don't like it then you can give it all to me, but don't tell my mother. She is always worried that if I eat too much, I'll get fat." Under the street lamp, Moran lowered his head and kicked at the small stones and dirt by the roadside with his tattered sneakers. He was truly courting death by doing so. His originally pitiful-looking sneakers became even more unsightly. "You won't get fat," little Moran muttered after a while. "What did you say?" The girl didn't hear him clearly. "I said you won't get fat." Although the light was dim, Xuemeng still noticed that the little guy's face seemed to be a little red. "If you like it, I will give you the cake secretly." He bit his lip and turned his face awkwardly. This time even the sluggish Xiaolong noticed that his ears were even red. "I won't tell your mother." The little candle dragon jumped up and down around the two of them, screaming, "Ah! I really like this little girl. I like her too." Xuemeng said with a smile, "Like I said before, there are so many sweet and good girls in the world that even gay boys who were made of steel and iron can't resist. At this rate, we should be able to accomplish the mission soon. I can't wait to attend their wedding, no, to see their children directly." Xiaolong looked like his blood was boiling as he flew up to the sky only to plummet down to the ground again. "What does it matter if I'm single or not? As long as my CPS can get married, what does it matter if I'm single for 100 years? They followed Moran and the little girl as they went up to the second floor. They watched the two kids eat dinner together, shared a piece of after-dinner cheesecake, watched TV together and worked on their homework together. Ah, what a delightful bamboo horse friendship. Fuck, you can't fall in love early. Girlfriends have to be nurtured from the red scarf period, otherwise when you graduate from college, you won't even be able to chat with any girl in your address book and could only become gay." At 8:30, the man and the dragon watched with satisfaction as Moran bid farewell to the girl and her mother. Little Moran walked briskly to take the last train and the two of them followed behind him happily. Later, Moran came over to the girl's house a few times, but often, from fear of leaving a bad impression on the other's parents, he would go around the back of the residential building and would use blunt pebbles to knock lightly on the girl's bedroom window. "The restless puberty has come," Xuemeng commented with his arms folded, but his expression was very excited. "I feel like this strategy is foolproof. However, the little dragon's mouth shouldn't be called candle dragon, as a black crow's beak was probably more suitable for it." As soon as he finished his comment, the trajectory of Moran's hand shifted. The pebble didn't hit the girl's window but instead hit the glass window of the neighboring room. The two staff members of the Cultivation Bureau were still very complacent, not realizing that their fate was about to be irrevocably changed. Moran is really an active and enthusiastic child. And romantic. In the future, when they became boyfriend and girlfriend, this will be a very good memory. Just as they were talking and exclaiming happily about the future they were envisioning, they suddenly heard the sound of a window opening. Then a voice dripping with obvious impatience and sleepiness rang out. Instantly it was as if ice water that was condensed by nitrogen gas was splashed onto Xuemeng's little candle dragon. "Don't you think it's already too late in the day to play pranks?" It was even a familiar formula. No, it was a familiar voice, in a familiar tone. Xuemeng and Xiaolong looked like they had seen a ghost. They swallowed their saliva and then turned their heads tremblingly. Each scream sounded more tragic than the other one. As if the death bell had rung for the end of the world. They both looked at each other and wailed together, "What the fuck? Why did Chu Wanning live next door to the girl?" They were not willing to accept this. How can they be willing? How can fate unscrupulously stretch out its claws and slap them in the face? How can the motherland's morning glory be turned into a gay dahlia? At least this time their meeting was not pleasant. Xuemeng tried to point out the crux of the matter, although he himself was not very confident. Yes. The little candle dragon also tried to explore various possibilities for the development of the matter. The unpleasantness of this first meeting should also cause them to not get along well. I think this strategy can be salvaged. I think so, too. Let's at least wait for a year from today to see the situation before making a decision. Once again, they reached a consensus. Whizzing with the task guide, they arrived at the time a year later. It was still the same neighborhood and it was also night time. Even the position where Moran was standing did not change. He was still standing under the street lamp, which was not very bright and was occasionally flickering due to the unstable voltage. Moran was still throwing pebble against the window that had a glassy sheen in the moonlight. However, he was throwing the pebble not at the girl's bedroom window but at the window of Chu Wanning's, which was next door to the girl's. Please tell me that this is just a coincidence. Xiao Long said desperately. Please tell me that his hand just shook and accidentally threw the pebble sideways again. Shuemeng was still more rational. He didn't speak but his face was ashen. One mistake was an accident, 10 times was true love. No one would hit the wrong window 10 times in a row, so Moran was knocking on Chu Wanning's window. The person that he came to see was the little brother Chu Wanning who lived next to the girl. Fucking hell. The window opened and the summer night breeze carried the fragrance of the magnolia flowers into the room. Chu Wanning flicked the sheer gauze curtain. He was wearing pajamas. Despite his impatience and sleepiness, he still moved a stool over and stood on tiptoe to look down. Why are you here again? Chu Wanning leaned against the window and yawned. His voice was not soft nor loud and said lazily to Moran, didn't we just finish playing ball together this afternoon? Moran remained silent under the street lamps but merely smiled and waved at him. He folded several paper planes and threw them towards him until one finally flew into his room. Chu Wanning disassembled the paper plane. There was a crayon drawing on top of it. It was of a white cat and a little puppy. There were also words written in milky yellow color. I forgot to say good night to you. I wish you a good dream. Let's go to the swimming pool tomorrow to play. Let's call our good friend Ling Er, if she means UN, I haven't learned how to write this word yet. Moran. So. The little candle dragon almost twitched. In the end, he and Chu Wanning became us and the cute girl next door became our friend. Shuemeng was silent for a while. He actually wanted to find some polite and reserved sentences in the corners of his brain to express his disappointment. Even Tang Shi Song's lyrics and poems or the opera from Europe, that was enough to give him goosebumps. But no. In the end, he squeezed out the swear words that had been burning his blood. Damn motherfucker. Fuck your second uncle. You should revise your wordings. Don't mind my words. I'm so pissed right now. No. Xiao Long said, I just want to remind you that if you want to fuck his second uncle, then you are also gay. Moreover, it's a grandfather-grandson relationship. End chapter. Dumb Husky and his white cat Shizun. Extra chapter. Modern setting. Only possibility. Part 6, the end. After trying to change the many roots of fates, Shuemeng and Xiao Long finally realized one thing: even if Moran did not become gay, at a certain point of his life, sooner or later he would definitely meet a person named Chu Wanning and then they would fall in love with each other. So, instead of trying our best to introduce a girl to Moran, it is better to kill Chu Wanning directly. Xiao Long made a satisfactory summary of his conclusion. Or simply give Chu Wanning a sex change. Shuemeng added. Or Moran. No matter how the simulation game is played or how many female characters you can choose from, Moran will eventually get together with Chu Wanning in the end. In the face of the comprehensive conclusion of the two staff who are reporting harmoniously, Director Zhang Shi's face was a little gloomy. With one hand on his face, he flipped through the thick stack of task reports in front of him with his other hand. It listed in detail of the various heroine strategy routes of Moran's fate, and without exception, all of them ended up with Moran being married to Chu Wanning. I used to think it was a multi-ending love simulation game. Xuemeng's face was no better than Zhang Shi's. I didn't expect this to be an ancient and boring RPG single-ending game. Director Zhang, have you played The Immortal Sword of the Legendary Heroes? It was released in 1998, or was it 2001? I can't remember. In anyways, even that computer game of the last century have the Linuaru's hidden ending. After he spoke, he bit his lower lip in frustration. I feel that this dating simulation game of Moran is inferior to that of The Immortal Sword of the Legendary Heroes, as it didn't even have a hidden ending. The young man crossed his arms in front of Director Jiang's desk and complained incessantly while Director Jiang kept silent. His eyes swept over the failed strategy reports as his brows became tighter and tighter. Actually, this doesn't need to be limited to Moran's current lifetime. Finally, Zhang Shi raised his thin eyelids as he asked, have you tried the root of his other lifetimes? What have we didn't tried? Xuemeng said, the Republic of China era, the future lifetime. We tried everything. You can turn a few pages at the back to see. Sure enough, in the second half of the report were the details of the strategies on other lifetimes and reincarnations. The Republic of China era was the most despairing. Xiao Long interjected. We simulated going back to the Republic of China period. Moran was the young master of a big family. When he was a child, his father had arranged for him to marry a young lady from the same town. They were only waiting for them to come of age for the wedding. Zhang Shi, oh. Isn't that good? The little candle dragon didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What happened? Before the girl could come of age, Moran ran away from home and joined the National People's Party and announced that he wanted to be free and not to be in an arranged marriage. And then the war started and he got involved in the civil war. During the civil war, he was sent as a spy to the enemy camp. Xuemeng sighed and ended up talking. He then helped Zhang Shi to turn the thick report to the pages of the Republic of China era. Look here, look at this picture. This kid really looked the part, a sheep in sheep's clothing. He doesn't even show a bit of indication that he was a young master, right? So, everything was going fine. Zhang Shi seemed to have known what had happened next and asked lightly with no inflection at all. So, how did Chu Wanning appear this time? How indeed? Xuemeng waved his hand in annoyance. He was the company commander of the group that Moran infiltrated. Once, there was an ambush and Moran was shot. He bled profusely. It was Chu Wanning who dragged this undercover agent amidst the mountains of corpses and sea of blood and carried the unconscious Moran on his back as he crawled his way to a safe place. Xiao Long then muttered, in order to save this guy's life, Chu Wanning almost lost his own life. Zhang Shi sighed, so after Moran woke up, he betrayed the National Party and became a spy of the other party since he was now on Chu Wanning's side. It wasn't phrased as a question. It was as if he had clearly seen the transformation of Moran through the years amidst the smoke and the gunpowder. Yes. Xuemeng rolled his eyes. They fell in love later. They've turned down all the excellent women who were enthusiastically introduced to them by the organization. They fought side by side, lying in a trench, holding a gun and seeing the stars. After liberation, they lived in a compound and became two bachelors who fascinated thousands of young girls. These two bachelors would make dumplings together and ride Phoenix bicycles together for excursion. They would go to the Shadow Tower to take colorful group photo together, went to the department store together and share a brown bag of mulled candy together. One after another, Xuemeng told the details of the other routes with the speed of a cannonball. Although he talked fast as if the scenes passed like a meteor in a flash, but still Zhang Shi found those scenes easy to imagine. Pale green gunpowder smoke, dirty and damaged military uniforms. In a trench made of blood and mud, two young men leaned against each other to watch the night. Their dark eyes were sprinkled with the starlight of the wilderness as their eyelashes fluttered. Far away, there were soldiers playing the harmonica. The sound drifted around them and died in the mist of the twilight. There was no fighting tonight, only a little bit of burnt smoke in the fog that told of the turbulence of the years. There were also 2 youths with stubble on their jaws that they didn't have the time to shave off. Later on, when they were on their 70s and 80s, Xuemeng said dryly as the speed of his storytelling slowed down. Even the disaster in 1966 failed to separate these 2 stubborn old men. He finished. Their love persisted even in death. In fact, even death cannot overthrow it. Jiang Shi didn't speak for a long time and finally he stopped reading the report. He closed the report and felt a headache coming on. He raised his hand and pressed his temple. It was said that husbands and wives are like birds in the forest. When a great calamity strikes, each would fly to its own direction. Yet years and catastrophe failed to separate the 2 old bones. Jiang Shi actually didn't know how likely it would work if they forced a woman on Mo Ran and how it would stop him from being gay. Or maybe Mo Ran was not gay. Maybe it's just that in his life and in his destiny, a person named Chu Wanning can never be absent, that's all. After getting off work, the people from the Cultivation Bureau left the office building one after another amidst the background music of Go Home courtesy of the former director, Nanggong Lu. Some of them have lived in the world of self-cultivation for a long time, so they could ride their swords to go home with no issue, while others are used to integrating into the mundane world and living with people in modern society who no longer believe in gods, ghosts, and immortals. These people had to hide their extraordinary abilities and take the bus or the subway or drive a car or even walked into the night when the lights are on. I don't think any other result would yield from this. Jiang Shi stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows, watching the busy traffic under the building with his back turned towards Xuemeng and Xiaolong. Finally, he said, "Never mind." Xuemeng didn't comprehend it for a while as he said huh. Jiang Shi crossed her arms and turned his head to look at him. "I mean, your mission is over." No matter how he looked at it, the simulation game would only reach one conclusion. There's no need to try it again and again. The cultivation world could only look for other methods. Go home. Thus, Xuemeng's first mission was a failure. Although he knew that it wasn't his fault, he still felt somewhat uneasy upon hearing Jiang Shi's words. He subconsciously ground the rug with the toe of his shoe. After a moment's hesitation he said, "There's something." Jiang Shi had turned around completely this time. He leaned against the spotless window glass and raised his eyelashes slightly and said, "Go on." Xuemeng took a deep breath and said, "I saw him in the simulator when he was a child and I think he should be about the same age as me. So why don't we just find him directly and ask him if he is willing to cooperate with the experiment?" Jiang Shi was quiet for a while, and then sneered, "Gene experimentation is very dangerous. Do you think we are still living in that chaotic and ignorant cultivation world of your history lessons? We cannot do this kind of thing to a free man anymore. Even if that person is a butterfly-boned beauty feast." Jiang Shi said, "Child, wake up. The era of cannibalism is long gone." Under the cold white light of the director's office, Xuemeng's face seemed to turn a little red. He mumbled, "I didn't mean that. I just don't know." Jiang Shi started to pack up the documents. During the process, the new director looked up at him again and said, "I know you don't mean that. But I must remind you, no matter who your father is, kid, no matter how great you were at school, no matter how many scholarships you've taken, no matter how many baby trophies your mom polished off and put on display." Xuemeng's face was getting redder and redder. Before it was because of embarrassment, but now it was more because of anger. "I don't care how well you did with Director Nanggong, how many reports you've wrote and how many projects you've reviewed and sealed." Jiang Shi turned a blind eye to his anger. He locked the file in a drawer, raised his slender fingers, adjusted his dark green silk tie and concluded, "You still have a lot to learn from me." After the domineering director finished speaking, he moved his long legs and light brushed past Xuemeng. Xuemeng trembled with anger and finally couldn't help but explode, "Jiang Shi! Jiangxi just stopped in front of the office door. He turned around and pursed his lips towards the young man and said, "Remember to turn off the lights." It was past 7 o'clock in the evening. The last light in the Bureau of Cultivation building went out. There was no war and there was no huge project that needs to be worked on. No one would work overtime. People have their own places to go back to. To meet up with friends, date with lovers, wife and husband were on the couch, eating popcorn and watching a TV screen flashing with blue light. The tall young man put on an apron and helped his parents prepare dinner together. They all have somewhere to go. Although Jiangxi was a bastard, he was right. Although no world was perfect and no era was spotlessly clean, the world they were living now was much better than before. The turbulent years of when order were being overturned and rebuilding was a norm was long far gone. It has been so long that many deeds and names have faded and disappeared in the long river of time. For a long time, countless souls have been washed in time and space as they have experienced the cycle of life and death again and again. Long enough that you were no longer the you of the past and I was no longer the me of the past. The youth will grow old, muscles and bones will decay, and life will be lost to time. However, those who entangle each other with their souls will always be gifted with new flesh and blood by time. Those attachments that are not diluted by reincarnation will always be embraced by their lovers again and again in their long life. Life after life lingering. Xuemeng bid farewell to the little candle dragon and walked out of the building. The sky was gray, covered with thick lead gray clouds. He saw tiny snowflakes drifting down in the night sky, scattering onto this splendid world. He didn't bring an umbrella, so he erected his collar and hurried to the nearest station, the white mist drifting around his nose and mouth with his breathing. Beside him, in this city shrouded in the sky, in this vast world, there are countless destiny intertwined here and there. In the shop, old man Masterly was counting his income today. This old man is doing business with kindness and he gets more and more patrons. He smiled as he counted the money and planned to go to the bookstore to buy the book he had liked from a long time on his day off. He had enjoyed reading ancient swordsmanship. He liked to read this kind of mysterious book. Although it was full of rambling, it was still surprisingly beautiful. The daughter of the Luo family will be 26 in a few hours. She had just graduated from the university with a degree on agriculture and forestry. She took a taxi and planned to go to a nightclub in the city center for her 26th birthday celebration. She didn't know that at the party that her best friend hosted for her, she would meet again the big brother who used to live next door to them when she was a child, many years ago. She didn't know that she would get to meet the person she was destined to love. The casino was brightly lit. Lady Bosun, who wore bright-colored nail polish, smiled as she watched the guests spend a lot of money in her place. It was really good to have money. The girl surnamed Ye and her fiancé are sitting in the bridal shop. They have been arguing for half an hour about the position of a certain pearl on the dress. It seemed as if the deadliest thing in the world was this pearl. As long as this pearl was properly placed, all the headaches will be solved. What a wretched couple! The placement of the pearl on the wedding dress was their only worry. Shouldn't they look at the other two people 3 blocks away? It was the Mo Ran and Chu Weining who were living in this era. They are not an illusion in the simulation game, not Xuemeng's mission. But it was obvious and not surprising that they were also together in this life. However, at this moment, they were quarreling over some trivial matters. The cause of the disagreement was that Mo Ran wanted to go to the cinema to watch a romantic movie starring Sun Fengwei, the popular movie star. But Chu Wanning would rather watch an action movie starring the kung fu superstar Zheng Kongming. Why can't you watch some hot-blooded male movies? At that time, Chu Wanning had narrowed his eyes and stared dangerously at his handsome boyfriend who was half a head taller than himself, but he wouldn't lose out at all in intimidation factor. If it weren't for his long eyelashes that look like the stamen of a flower under the streetlights, he would look even fiercer. Every time you want to watch a movie, it's either a comedy or a romantic movie. Just listen to this title. Chu Wanning almost smashed the words. Erhand his white cat Shizun, what kind of brain-dead title is that? Is this a cartoon? Shouldn't the poster also say this movie is suitable for preschoolers? Moran looked pitifully at his angry lover and tried to defend the equally pitiful movie Erhand his white cat Shizun several times, but could only helplessly swallow his argument and back down reluctantly. I can't stand your taste in movies anymore. I told you last time that Teletubbies vs. Voldemort and Captain America vs. Barabara had broken my limit. I'll never, ever go to the cinema with you to watch this kind of shitty films anymore. Chu Wanning seemed to have been holding back for a long time and has now reached his limits. His thin lips opened and closed as he threw out angry condemnations that even seemed illogical because of his hot-headedness. I am a policeman, Moran. Even if I take off my uniform after I get off from work, I'm still a policeman. I can't accompany you and lose IQ like this. Why are you looking at me that way? Do you think that if you look at me like this, I will accompany you to watch Erhand his white cat Shizun? Please. You are in your 20s. How can you go to the counter and say to the attendant, please give me 2 tickets for Erhand his white cat Shizun? Won't you feel ashamed? Moran looked at him with his dark eyes and suddenly felt wronged. He rarely resisted but said, my colleague told me that this is not an animated movie. Although I am not sure if it is good or not, but I promise, this is really a serious romantic movie. Chu Wanning finally exploded, no serious movie will have such a silly title. After saying that, Chu Wanning walked forward in a huff. After taking a few steps, he noticed that Moran was not following him. Instead, he stood in the same place, just staring at him. He became more and more choked in anger and repeatedly said, no. Moran bit his lip, still staring at him without saying a word. This was how the conflict between the two happened. If Zhang Shi, the director of Cultivation Bureau, witnessed this scene, he would definitely sigh with emotion at how stupid and hopeless these idiots in love were. You don't need 2 people to watch movie. You can each buy a ticket for yourself and watch the movie in 2 screening halls. Were you 2 like the little girls who just had to go the toilet hand in hand during class recess? Zhang Shi would definitely think like this. After all, he was a great, ruthless, witty, and smart director. At this moment, Chu Wanning was silent with his hands in the pockets of his black woolen trench coat as he walked along the road in a cool manner. His boyfriend tried to hold his hands several times but he ignored him. Wanning. Okay, don't go so fast. Let's discuss this. I promise you that this time it will not be as bad as the Teletubbies vs. Voldemort movie. Afterwards, Moran muttered under his breath, besides it was not as bad as you said. In fact, I'm looking forward to watching the next installment of the series called Pretty Girl Hagrid next. It was a pity that the last sentence was heard by Chu Wanning. Chu Wanning was shocked and even looked back at him in panic as he asked, what did you say? You say it again. No, forget it. He shook his head and tried to wave away the nightmarish title that he'd just heard. His throat was even twitching as he said, don't repeat it, I don't want to hear it. Oh. Moran continued to felt wronged. Chu Wanning continued to walk with long stride forward as his coat swayed in the wind. He was a little speechless, really. Every time he thought he had reached the bottom line of Moran's terrible taste in movie film, Moran would present him with an even worse one. Moran had been following behind him the entire time, walking at a distance of a step away. They walked like this for a while until finally, Moran mustered up the courage to persuade Chu Wanning again. Why don't we decide what we'll watch with rock paper scissors? It's also okay if we draw lots, or roll a dice. His voice became quieter and quieter until he stopped as he noticed something out of the corner of his eye. An idea came to him. Hey, Chu Wanning. Finally, Chu Wanning's handsome and tall boyfriend stopped by the road, under the dim street lights. He raised his finger and pointed to the right side where there was a stall selling sweet potatoes. The stall owner was shouting, Roast sweet potatoes, selling roasted potatoes. Sweet potatoes. Hello, Chu Wanning. He repeated. Chu Wanning ignored him. Officer Chu. He bit his lip with a smile in his eyes. He knew Chu Wanning. He knew what Chu Wanning liked to eat and how to get him to listen to him. After all, they had known each other for far too long. Chu Wanning really turned, but he didn't turn around. Instead, he turned his face to the side and kept his hands in the pockets of his coat. He raised his chin slightly, his long, thick eyelashes narrowing as he stared at the man under the street light. The man met his gaze. As expected, he lowered his head and smiled secretly. Then he got lost for words. He took off his hat and scratched his head, then said, "Would you like to eat roasted sweet potatoes in winter?" He smiled and continued, "You love it, don't you? And I think this one is white core. You like those with white core, but it's hard to find. So let's get one. Don't be angry anymore." Chu Wanning's expression was no longer hard or as cold as the ice cubes that has frozen overnight in the northern winter. He stood for a moment, then turned around with his cheeks slightly puffed out. He walked towards Mo Ran and said calmly, "I want to get 4. Okay, okay." His handsome boyfriend looked at him with both helplessness and amusement. Really, he used to be like a leopard with his tough, wild, and untamed personality, but he has gotten used to it gradually over the years. Occasionally, he would even be like a little white cat baring its teeth. He really gave off this illusion. Mo Ran smiled and said, "Okay, we'll get 4, but can you still eat dinner after that? Don't underestimate my stomach, it's just an appetizer." "All right, let's get you your appetizer first, then we'll have dinner. Afterwards, we'll watch that Zhen Kongming movie that you like." Chu Wanning took the steaming white core sweet potato, had a bite, held back the little smile on his lips that was about to betray him, and shook his head indifferently as he said, "It's fine if you want to watch Erhan his white cat Shizun. Mo Ran's eyes suddenly lit up. "Really? Yes, I'll go brain dead with you again." Mo Ran's voice instantly became vibrant with joy and sweetness, like the bubbles in a fizzy drink, like honey-flavored water. He was about to die of sweetness. "You're so kind. Then can we also watch Pretty Girl Hagrid?" "Don't even think about it." On the snow-covered street, the two pairs of footprints slowly moved forward, leaning very close to each other. At a crossroads, Xuemeng, who had already boarded on the bus, was wearing his headphones and unconsciously looked at the bus window towards the passing crowds and the flashy lights. He was very relaxed as he put his forehead against the cool glass of the bus window. The colorful neon lights flashed across his black eyes. He yawned, not noticing a pair of young people carrying roasted sweet potatoes from the sidewalk next to him. They were passing by, arguing over Pretty Girl Hagrid. The stoplight turned green and the bus moved on. As they passed each other, Xuemeng hummed along with the song in his earphone in a low voice. He was tone-deaf, but who would stop him from humming happily? He had just received a message from his mother, telling him that his father had returned from his business trip and that tonight, they will have his favorite broiled fish and spicy chicken. Just like this, their lives were filled with countless possibilities. Different jobs, different places of origin, different paths of growth, different likes and dislikes. Perhaps even for one reason or another, there may be small differences in their appearance, but reincarnation can't change Xuemeng's preference towards broiled fish, just like Chu Wanning's fondness for sweets and Mo Ran's love of wonton with red hot sauce. There is only one ending to their story. This is the compromise that the heavens have bestowed upon them. After going through all those hardships, they will always be with those they love. They will eventually reunite with their loved ones. End of the only possibility.